Hi, and welcome to another video by Jimthecarguy. I'm going to be changing the axle seal on the left and right side. Let's grab some tools, and we're going to get started. Okay, so this is how we're going to do. We're going to come in here with a small pry bar, and we're just going to release a little bit of the pressure on this caliper right here, so that it slides nice and freely. Next thing we're going to do then is we're going to come in underneath here. And we're going to take out these 10mm bolts here and here just to get this caliper off of the vehicle. Okay, we're going to put this on hold for 1 second till that passes. Okay. All right, now once you break these bolts loose, we're going to take these out. Don't lose them because you're going to need to put these back in again later. A lot of action out there today. Take this one out. We're going to take our caliper like this, and we're just going to take it off. And we're going to put it off to the side like this for now. And that's as far as we're going to go. We're going to take our rotor off. And as you can see, that seal is leaking really badly. I'll show you. You can see how much of that grease has leaked out. It's been leaking for quite some time too. So we are going to change this, that seal in here. We're going to change the seal on the opposite side as well. Now, as you can see, there's no way you can get in here to get this axle shaft out of the differential. So we're going to go underneath the vehicle now. We're going to pull that cover down in the back right over here. We're going to drain the fluid out, and then we'll take this apart. But before we do this, we're going to go to the other side, and we're going to do the exact same thing, take the brakes and rotor off on the other side. Okay, now we got the other side off, and as you can see, the other side is really not leaking at all. But the whole thing has got to come apart anyway. To change the seal on the left side, it is logical to change the seal on the right side too, especially when this has almost 200,000 miles on it. So, all right, so we are going to change this seal too. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to come up underneath here, and we're going to disconnect all of those bolts that hold that differential cover on. We're going to take all of these bolts off, and we're going to drain the fluid out. Now, we're going to take out all of these bolts. At the time, the cover is stuck on there pretty good. But be careful, because now at any point this cover can pop off. We're going to take a scraper like this or a screwdriver, whatever you have, and we're going to come underneath here, and we're just going to pry on the cover cone, so it makes it very difficult to get it out. But you want to make sure that you have your bucket down there, because you see what happens? It comes out. Okay, we're going to let this drain for a little bit, and once it finishes draining, then we'll come right back. We did let this drain out, but you see these gears inside here? That's where we need to take off the clip inside here. But there's a little tiny pin over here. It's going to be 5/16 or 8mm. So we need to turn the differential drive shaft, I should say. Now, I will point this out to you. This is in neutral, just so you know. And we're going to turn it now until we bring around that little bolt right there. Now you can get on this with a wrench or a socket, whichever works for you. Now obviously when I try to turn this, we got to hold the drive shaft just to get that to loosen up. And now you can see that that pin is loose, right? So now what you're going to do is you're going to turn this down, and we're going to take this pin, pull that pin out. We're going to put this on the side. And now that pin will come out. Now once you have this pin out, you do not rotate your axles at all. Otherwise your spider gears are going to fall out. You're going to have a little bit of a problem putting it back together. So we're just going to put this to a point where I can get in here easily, like that. And then we'll take our pin out like this. And now we're going to take out the C-clip in the back here that actually holds this in place. We push the axles in very slightly. And I always have a little magnet here just in case. Okay, it's pretty tight in there. Take this clip and we'll put it to the side for now. And now we're going to pull that axle straight out. And now we're going to do the exact same thing on this side over here. Sorry if I cut in front of you there. Push the axle in. Sometimes with all the grease on here, it makes it a little difficult to get it out. All right, then we're going to pull the axle out to the side there also without rotating it. And now we didn't rotate anything in here, so everything still lines up exactly as it's supposed to, so that we could put our pin back in if we needed to, see? All right, so make sure you do not rotate the rear end or your spiders will fall out. Just change the gloves and we'll come right back after we get that phone call. Okay, so now that we have the axle pulled out, we know it's not engaged in a differential anymore, we can take it totally out of the car. Now, I just want to point this out to you. The seal we're going to be changing is this seal right here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the axle out. Hey, Harry, you pull the axle out partially just like this, and you see that little piece on the end right there? We're going to hook that seal like this, and we're going to pull it out like that. And that's the seal we're changing. All right? Now, this axle, we're just going to check and make sure it's in good shape, that the axle itself here is not all scored, which is not. It actually looks pretty decent. So we're going to take this out, just like this. We're going to put this off to the side for now. Now, we are going to take that seal out of the other side there. We're going to clean up this tube right here. So it's nice and clean. There's no grease or any kind of foreign matter in there whatsoever. The bearing itself is in good condition. And now we're going to reinstall our seal. All right, so now we're going to put a slight bead of silicone on here, and then we're going to tap it in until it's flush with this axle tube right here. All right? So let me grab some silicone, and we're going to tap it right in there. We're going to put the seal in like this. We're going to tap it until it's flush. Alright, so now it's flush with the axle tube itself. I'm going to wipe off any kind of residual that's on there. Okay, so now this side is finished. We're going to change the parking brake shoes, but let me do the other side and then we'll come right back. Okay, and that's it. Now our parking brake shoes are on. Our star is closed up all the way, and that's it. We're all set. Now we did clean this up already here, and we're going to slide our axle back in, Now when we push the axle back in, you do not rotate the axle. If you rotate it, you're going to lose those spider gears inside. So we take the axle, you're going to hold it up. You're not going to let the axle slide on top of that brand new seal right there. You're going to pick it up so that you lift it up and put it through the center of it. And you just grab it with two hands. Now what I was doing is, when you put the axle in, these splines don't line up exactly right. So what I did is I pulled it, I moved it a hair, pushed it back in. Pulled it out, turned it a hair, put it back in. You want to make sure that the splines are not grabbing the spider gears inside the rear end, and you won't be pulling those spider gears out of position where they belong. All right, next thing we're going to do now is let's go underneath the truck. We're going to put those C-clips back in, and then we're going to start to wrap this up and get this done. Okay, I know that this sway bar is in your position of sight. Okay, now we're going to take our C-clip that we previously took out. We have to put it right back inside there without rotating anything. So we push the axle all the way through, and now we're going to slide this clip back in there. Sometimes it's a little bit tough to get in there, so if you want to use your magnet to assist you, you can. Except I don't think it's going to help in this case here. I'm wrong. Okay, we're going to push that clip back in all the way in as far as it can go. And then we're going to go to the axle tube on the other side, and we're going to pull it out slightly. Sorry, I didn't mean axle tube, I meant the axle. We're going to pull it out slightly. Now this axle over here, I put that in already. That is already in there, and I put that C-clip in. Now we're going to take our pin that we previously took out, goes right in through here. And if you didn't turn anything, this should go right in without a problem. Now, if you try to put this in and it does not go in, that means you rotated the axle just a little bit, and you'll need to rotate it a little bit. Now, if you try to get it in and it goes to this point here and it won't go any further, that means your C-clip is not in correctly. You'll need to reposition your C-clip and pull your axle back out. All right, but as you can see, this one goes right in. We're going to grab our pin. We're going to put our pin back inside, but we're going to have to rotate it just a hair because the pin, the lock will not fit in there. All right. Okay, now we're going to clean off this housing right here, and then we'll come right back. All right, now, we're not going to use RTV, we're going to use a gasket to put this back together with. So what we're going to do now is, so the gasket doesn't slip, we're going to put a little bit of adhesive on there to hold the gasket in position. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to lay the gasket back in here the way it came, the way it lines up with the holes. And then what I normally do is just stick a few bolts through it just to hold the gasket in position so that the bolts will line up properly. You don't have to put every bolt in there. And now we're just going to let that gasket adhesive dry a little bit. All right, and while that's drying, we're going to go back underneath the bottom. We're going to clean up the housing. So we have everything all cleaned up. Your gear here is going to have to line up with this in the bottom right over here. So let's clean off any of this residual. And we're going to lift this up. And then we're going to catch a couple of bolts in it to hold it in place. Okay, now our rear end cover is now tight. Now we're going to come on the side over here, we're going to fill it up with differential oil. Take out this plug right here. And this is where we're going to be filling it up through. You want to make sure you have a bucket underneath here, of course, because it is going to make a little bit of a mess. You want to be able to catch the fluid. Now obviously now it's empty, but we will be filling it. Okay. And what you do now is you fill it until the fluid comes running back out through here, and then you know you're full. You use your finger as a dipstick. If you put your finger in and you can touch the fluid like that, then you're full. All right? Next thing we're going to do now is we let it drain out till it stops draining, and then we screw our plug back in. Nice and snug. And we're just going to wipe off any kind of residual leakage underneath here, and now we'll go up and we'll put the brakes back together. Now we did clean up this rotor, just so you know, and we remember we backed off on that adjustment all the way back off of here. Now we're going to go underneath the bottom, and we're going to go up in there, and we're going to adjust the parking brake so that it's snug. You want to adjust it just till it touches. All right, so, and the way you would do that, let me show you. It's going to be hard to do it and show you at the same time, but see this little hole up inside here? Right in there. We're going to go in there with a spoon, and we're going to turn that star until we have a slight drag on it. So let me do that, and then we'll come right back. Our caliper back on here. We're not changing the brakes, just so you know. Put our caliper on here. It's a little bit snug going on, so what we're going to do, we're going to push that piston back in a little bit, right here. Just going to push it in a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. Now ideally it would have been a good opportunity for the owner to change the brakes at this point, but they just had somebody else do the brakes and then neglected to tell them about that leak in the back there. Okay, so we'll put this on the top like this. We just made sure that these slide pins were out of the way. We're going to catch these two bolts up on the top here. You're going to catch them both by hand. You want to catch them both before you tighten up one or the other. You want to make sure both are caught and screwed in. And now we'll just snug our caliper back in place. Okay. Let me grab that, we'll come right back. Okay, so that's it. So if you ever come across that where you're leaking oil out the back, this is the C-type rear. They're a little bit more involved than the type with the regular bolts that actually come in there. Not a big deal once you see it done. Just go over everything in your head, make sure you put everything back in, especially that oil. Make sure you have that differential filled up. Remember, your finger is your dipstick. If you could touch it with the pinky, then you're good. What I normally do is fill it right to the top, let it bleed out until it's even with the screw, and then you're full. All right, we cleaned off everything, so we are going to get a little bit of a burning smell, but that's it, we're all done. As always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.